On pole for round 7 into the 2014 HARC Pro Series season would be Terrence Day, the hometown hero from Quebec. We nearly had some contact with Ilya Bondarenko there on the start. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Luko Brobeck, the E1 winner, started on his outside, and already Chris Washer has gone by to take the early lead, as Sawyer Girls now going to take it in turn 2 on lap 2. Ty Dent's coming up the inside here. I don't know why these guys are trying to make their way to the front so fast. They've got 100 laps, but well, I guess they're antsy. The 83 jumps into the lead, and now Johnny Finguy in the 42 is going to grab the lead. In the next turn, Pichu London would grab the lead. Mike Doan has made his way up through the field very quickly. He gets into the lead on lap 5, as I think there's a car off track, but whoever that was has gotten back on. Lap 6 would feature a pair of lead changes as Ilya Bondarenko forced Mike Doan up to the high side, and then Luke Walker got to the inside of him. Luke Walker was the one that went off track, but luckily saved his car, and the round 6 winner is so far doing very well in this race as well. We had a very close call in the midfield as Sawyer Girl, Tyler Faber, and Matthew Nicholson all locked bumpers for a second. That could have been a really nasty crash off of 2, but luckily they hold on as Demir Baishinov in the 13 has made his way up to the front. Lap 10 would feature Luke Walker grabbing the lead back, as we have a big wreck right behind these guys. Battling for 6th on back, Richard Trelinsky and Skylar Dixon got together, hit the inside wall, and then slid back up the track right in front of the whole outside line, taking them all out. Then Mike Doan had nowhere to go, and Johnny Appleseed and Spencer Fullerton hit Mike Doan as he spun back to the outside. Let's take a look at this from a further out angle as Chris Washer, Terrence Daly, Bondarenko, Skylar Dixon, Johnny Finguy, and up ahead Spencer Fullerton and Johnny Appleseed take wild rides, especially Spencer Fullerton, Johnny Appleseed, and Mike Dillon. They took hard hits into the tire wall on the outside of turn 3. Luke Walker led the field back to the green flag. Only 3 cars retired from that race. Mike Doan, Spencer Fullerton, and Johnny Appleseed, who took the biggest pieces of that wreck. Richard Trelinsky also came in to repair damage, and he already seems to be quite off the pace. He's 2 seconds a lap. He seems to be 2 seconds a lap slower than the leaders. 7 laps after the restart, not much has changed. The pack is luckily spread out a little bit. We don't want another accident immediately, and has calmed down from the 3 and 4 wide racing we were seeing to single file and occasionally double file racing as Gerald Reddington gets around Luke Walker as Richard Trelinsky's already being lapped. That's right, 7 laps after the restart, and he's already lapped. As Gerald Reddington in the 12 looks to be very fast today. The laps after the restart, we see the rise of several teams. CA Motorsports, the CA Motorsports teammates Gerald Reddington and Tyler Faber have made their way up into the top 10, along with both cars in Team Dent and both Blaze Racing cars, Lugo Brobeck and Michael Kane, as Jacob Young has swept into the lead. On lap 31, Terrence Day would have to come into the pit road. He's going to retire from a mechanical failure. That's a tough break for that team. They were looking to have a good race. Even after the accident that they were involved in, they still managed to make their way back up into the top 20. As Mark Nutt has also come into the pits. Mark Nutt will go out. He just had a blown tire. Unfortunate for the hometown team. The lap car of Richard Trelinsky seems to be once again screwing over the leaders as Luke Walker drops to the inside of Jacob Young, as Jacob had to go around the outside of Richard Trelinsky, and Luke Walker is back into the lead here as Jacob Young is already trying to get it back. Jacob Young dives it in there, and Jacob's already got it back. Impressive stuff from that 22 team. Must come with experience, as Jacob. Well, then again, both of these cars are very quick, and they've both raced here before. It seems experience might actually be something to have at these dirt tracks. within the next few laps, Luke Walker would get the lead, and he would hold it for about 10 laps until TJ Dent, one of the Dent racing cars, his teammate Ty Dent, right on his rear bumper, would move up into first. Ty Dent is going to move up into second as well here. Team Dent looks fantastic. Speaking of teams making their way into the picture, here comes Blaze. Both of the Blaze racing cars up the inside. Michael Caine making his way up into the lead for one of the first times since Daytona at the start of the year. Michael, the oldest driver in the field by far, more than 80 years of age, hasn't been doing a lot in these features. Been doing very well in the heats, but hasn't gotten a single point yet in a feature event. That means not a single top 20. So, but today looks like a rebound for them, as Luko Rovac also looked strong after winning the heat race. I guess they threw Luka's setup on Michael Caine. As now TJ Dent gets back to the inside, and TJ Dent's going to retake the lead. Damir Vejianov and Jacob Young, the Kazakh and Canadian drivers respectively, would make their way back up into first and second. But here comes Luke Walker flying along the bottom. Luke wants the lead back, and through turn 4, he's alongside Damir. Damir almost clear, not quite. Luke Walker is going to take it for now. After leading the halfway lap and about 5 laps afterwards, Luke Walker was pulling away until Jeffrey Fingai made his way up into second and chased him down. Jeffrey Fingai gets into the lead for the first time in this race. He started pretty deep in the field. Already though, Luke Walker jumps back to the inside, and this is allowing the pack to slowly converge back in on the top 2 here. About a lap later, Jeffrey Fingai would use Richard Trelinsky as a pick. Luke Walker had to check up for Richard Trelinsky there, and he would have trouble getting around him without cutting down in front of another car. It's still a good call on Luke Walker's part to just kind of wait it out instead of doing something drastic and ending up wrecked. Some cars have come to life during this green flag cycle. Tyler Faber's car is definitely one of them. He made his way up into the top 5 about 10 to 15 laps ago, and he's finally made his way to the top of the heap. Wouldn't take long though before he was challenged by Ty Dent in the 83, who in turn was challenged by Michael Caine in the 75. Down into turn 1 though, Ty Dent's going to hold on for now as Damir forces Michael up the track. Running just inside the top 20, the 91 of Scott Batista would blow a tire. He'd have to come in to get a new one. Unfortunate for that team. They are last in points by quite a big margin. I think more than 10 points, with just 12 points overall this season. And just when they look like they were going to get a top 20 and perhaps get some points, it all goes down the drain. Coming into turn 4, Damir Vejianov would try to challenge Ty Dent for the lead. However, TJ Dent dove it right on in there, and they ended up racing 3 wide into the next set of corners. TJ Dent back into the lead. Just when one gets past, the other moves up into the lead, as now Ty Dent is trying to make his way back up into second place to challenge his teammate. Within the next couple of laps, Ty Dent would move his way back past his teammate into the lead without too much of a problem. Chris Washer finally going a lap down. That car has a lot of damage, but somehow has kept it on the lead lap from now. He's a bit off the pace of everyone else. Richard Trelinsky falls yet another lap down, as now TJ Dent uses the lap cars as a pick to get by Ty Dent. As the Dents continue to battle for the lead and put a bit of a gap on their nearest competitor, Dakota Honecker had to come into the pits. He blew a tire. I don't know whether they're running over debris recently, but a lot of cars coming in with debris or mechanical issues. But most of them have gone back out as the caution's out, ending this 60-lap long green flag run. Running just inside the top 20, Ophelia Ndumian and Johnny Fingai would make some contact. That would get Ophelia squirrely. She would go off the track and have no time to react before pounding the outside wall. At the same time, Paul Swanson would have a mechanical failure, bring his car into the pits, and would retire from the race. With 21 laps to go, the field would get to the green flag. I can see some cars in the background making some moves to the inside. That's illegal. We'll have to see how many drivers will be coming into the pits to serve mandatory stop and goes here. Sure. As it turns out, Pichu Lennon and Kyle Sosnowski would both be black flagged for passing before the line. They'll both have to perform quick stop and goes before going back out on track. However, at a track where lap times are 15 seconds long, that's going to cost them a couple of laps each. The Dents continue to be on fire as they battle for position. Carlin Dumian, the one, had to come in to serve his black flag. He also passed before the green flag, as it just seems like the drivers were getting antsy on that restart, and well, it cost them as they go back by Richard Trelinsky. Richard holds up TJ Dent. This is going to separate the Team Dent cars for one of the first times in the last 20 laps. Battling for positions just inside the top 10, Damir Bezhianov and Michael Kane would lose control, and they would both spin off the track and take some hard hits into the wall and out of the race. On the restart with 6 laps to go, Ty Dent would lead the field back to the green flag. Jeffrey Finguy in the 20 in second. Pichu London, the 007, had to come in. He blew a tire during that last caution and went a couple of laps down, repairing damage as Jeffrey Finguy takes the lead, and I think a few drivers had come in as once again, the drivers got a little bit too antsy and, well, passed before the line. This time it was 4 drivers that committed the act. Jacob Young in the 22, Kyle Sosnowski again in the 7, the 3 of Luko Brovac, that's going to ruin his points day, and Carlin Dumian in the 1. With 3 laps to go, William Nicholson would get to the inside of Jeffrey Finguy as the stop-and-go drivers come back out on track. Luko Obrovac didn't come back out on track. That's because he couldn't get that car refired after the stop-and-go, and he would retire from the race from that. As the caution is out, I think, for a small wreck on the front straightaway. The drivers merging back on track would have trouble here. Andreas Allen turned Jacob Young down into the path of Pichu London. Jacob and Pichu had just served their black flags, and they would end up conveniently on the inside of that inside wall. Luckily, as that could have been a lot worse if they slid back up the track, and because that wall wasn't there. Because that caution went right till the end of the regular scheduled distance, the 18 remaining lead lap cars would be sent for green-white checkered, as everyone's right on each other's bumpers on the start there. William Nicholson takes the early lead. Ty Dent jumps to the inside. Matthew Nicholson on the very inside there in the 87 car. The 87 is going to lead at the white flag. It looks like Sawyer Girl moves his way up into second here. As Sawyer jumps to the inside, Matt runs a little bit wide as we've got a crash behind. Oh, big crash. We've got a car upside down on the back. Gerald Reddington gets to the inside of Sawyer. James O'Shea to the inside of him. Who's going to win it? 3 wide. Sawyer Girl is going to get it here by 19 thousandths of a second over Gerald Reddington. Sawyer Girl, the German rookie driver, is going to win round 7 here at a dirt track in Quebec. Nasty crash you saw in the backstretch was actually a combination of multiple wrecks. Alex Allen gets into Luke Walker, who gets into William Duncan, and while that's happening, Jeffrey Finguy and TJ Dent get together and get into the outside wall. The 2 crashes converge, and TJ Dent is sent upside down here. Johnny Finguy, William Duncan, TJ Dent, Jeffrey Finguy, Luke Walker, and Alex Allen were all collected in that. As Jeffrey Finguy, TJ Dent, and Alex Allen weren't able to make it back to the flag. One of our overhead cameras on the front stretch captured the finish perfectly. Sawyer Girl gets his first feature win, as Gerald Reddington comes up just a little bit short in second place. Still a great run for that team. They made their way up through the field from outside the top 10 in those final 2 laps. James O'Shea also made his way out from outside the top 10. We didn't see him up front a lot all day. Good 3rd place finish for him. Alex Tanker in the 19th got 4th. Nice run for that veteran. Matthew Stringer, who led at the white flag, ended up getting shuffled back to 5th. I'm sure he's still happy with that run though. Skylar Dixon in the 96, our top running points contender in this race, that's for sure. This was a real fluke of a race for a lot of our top championship contenders at this point. He finishes 6th. Ty Dent, whose brother ended up upside down on the back straightaway, ended up gathering it up to finish 7th. Tyler Faber finishes 8th. Both CA Motorsports cars in the top 10 here. William Nicholson, who started this green white checkered first, ends up 9th, and Ilya Bondarenko finishes up the top 10 out of the cars left in the lead pack after that crash.